9 years ago, where one beekeeper had brought in hives from Connecticut full of American foul brood. 9 beekeepers all around them all of a sudden came down with foul brood. I couldn't figure out, I checked everybody on my list. Well, the guy from Connecticut, gentleman from Connecticut, had in there 2 rotting hives with foul brood. They were all robbing the honey out of it. 9 cases. It's like we call it a little epidemic. So it's, you know, the responsibility of beekeepers, if you know something's going wrong, what is it? Call an experienced beekeeper or the bee inspector and find out. You people, I'm sure Tony would be more than glad to come out and check your beehives. I know Tony very well, and I know he's a dedicated gentleman. Now, obviously, you don't need much smoke when you work bees. You know, bees, for the most part, are very docile. You can get, like we were talking about it last night, and that cross-Africanized hive came up from Weaver apiaries up in Lancaster, Mass. You know, I can work most any bees, but those bees, they came at me with a vengeance. I got stung 30 times. And when I opened that hive, the woman who had them, Cindy Stanton, got them from Weaver. For 5 weeks, she said, Ken, my kids and I can't get near the hives. And they just come at us 30 feet away and they come at us. So I said, let me come out. Sure enough, and we sent down a Beltsville DNA, and it was cross-Africanized. So you had to, she didn't even wait, because I told her we'd re-queen. We'd get a European queen. She closed them up, burnt up the hives that night. Poured gasoline in, burnt them up. Yeah. Yeah, she didn't want no part of it. She with 3 kids, you know. She got panicked. So what I do is I take a look, like in this case, you see, look at a beautiful brood pattern. Now that with USDA standards, I got to go through each frame like this. This here, 32 is totally full. That's a 29, 28, 29 brood pattern. That tells me how many bees are going to be hatching in so much time and how strong this hive is going to be. So when we do the counts, I go 28, 29. On this side is just as good. Probably 27 out of 32. So this would be 27 and 27 would be 54, 56. There's 56 out of 64. That's a perfect frame, brood frame. And I look, you know what I'm looking for is puncture marks, sunken cappings, because what bees do when something's wrong, they puncture it, they know the bee's dead because it's not respirating, and they puncture it and they start uncapping it, cleaning it out. That's good grooming quality on the bees. That's what you want to see. But if it's foul brood, like American foul brood, no matter how much cleaning they do, and I do that, you know, I'm telling the bees here in their language, move. So I can see the brood cappings. No carbon dioxide, you don't want to do it. You don't want to do that. They don't like it. Although my breath, they don't mind.
That's a second frame in
now,
too.
Drones, see this nice, just a little bit of drones. I love this frame. This is a great picture frame. And beautiful picture frame. You know this hive is a good queen in here. You just look at that frame and you say, boy, she's doing a nice job. And, you know, you go through the hive, evaluating that. The other thing I'm looking for is mites that are visual. Before I do an alcohol wash, I'm looking for visual mites. So like in this frame now, you notice the outer perimeter isn't hatched out yet. See how it's all empty in the middle? But inside there I can see already eggs and larvae. So this queen's coming right back as soon as they hatch. Come on, girls. Mary will tell you why they call me the bee whisperer.
That is his name.
Yeah, gently. All full of larvae and eggs, all those cells. So she's coming right back as soon as they hatch out and starting. This outer perimeter is because those bees haven't hatched, but the next day or two, you know they're going to be hatching. All eggs and larvae, full.
Anybody want to see that? We'll walk it around.
You can look at this here. If anybody wants, anybody want to see it? No.
I'll see it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take it around, Ken.
All right. Take a look in there. You know, these are nice frames. That's what these sessions, and it's great that Dave does what he does with the hive openings. You know, I think that's dedication on his part for the club. This frame they're building out.
Oh, perfect. Why don't you,
And here she's also laid eggs already too. So she's keeping this hive.
you hold both the bottom sides there.
She's
You have the sun at
eggs,
your back, which get the sun at your
drone broods on the bottom, which they always keep so many drones up through about July, and then they cut back on the number of drones they produce. That's why I say early on, they go to the drone brood, so you don't see damage in your worker brood. But by July and August, with less drone brood, they go into your worker brood, and that's what I'm looking for. At certain times of the year, I know what I'm going to see already. Each month brings a different set of problems. That's what beekeeping is all about. Going each month, you see a different set of problems. Beekeepers that come around with me in March and April, they come in August and they see a whole set of different problems. But nice job building, and you're not feeding, right, Dave?
No, no.
See, they're building obviously with just what's coming in for nectar. Now, what I'm looking for in this hive is how much honey, because that's another problem. If you get a dearth and they got a bunch of brood, they're going to start cutting back. She'll start cutting back. And then, like in here, I'm not noticing too much honey. A little bit here, which is enough to sustain them for a short time. A strong hive, I told last year in Barry, Mass, every hive I went to, I had to tell them to feed. They were starving. The brood was starting to die, turn yellowish. They were lacking nutrition. And I was telling people in Barry, in July, you've got to feed immediately. So evaluate your food stores, your pollen stores. Pollen usually is not a problem, but definitely honey stores. When a dearth comes on, let's say Dave had a honey super on here, he spun it out, and then we get into a dearth, there's no honey for them. There's no for energy. The adults all need the honey so they can go fly and bring in more. But see, they're coming in here, they're coming in nectar, you can see it glistens. Fresh nectar, see how it glistens right into the sun? Sparkles there. So there's some nectar coming in, but not a heck of a lot here. He's got some honey that's been stored here. So they've got enough, he's got to keep an eye here, just to make sure that they don't run out. And that's what your job as a beekeeper is, making sure, because she'll cut back on her egg laying, then a nectar flow comes, you don't have any bees to capture that nectar flow if that's what you're going for, honey. Like Dave is not concerned about the honey, so he's more interested about learning about the bees, which is great.
How long does the average dearth last?
Huh?
How long does the average dearth last?
The
Dearth.
average what?
Dearth.
Dearth? It can last 2 months.
Oh wow.
I've got my dad's records from 1950 on. In 1961, there was a dearth. We got nothing all summer. It started in June. We got nothing right up through September, and then a burst of all of a sudden goldenrod and Joe Pye wheat came in September, saved the hives. It was we were feeding.
How can you tell if a
Well,
dearth?
there's nothing. You see no nectar.
Yep.
You see in here, there's no nectar. There's no honey in here.
Yep.
You can tell there's a dearth going on.
Okay.
Whenever there's a dearth, they'll eat up the honey and there's no new nectar coming in.
Gotcha. But I mean, environmentally, the only way to tell is looking
Yeah,
at your hive.
I
Or
have scales on several of my hives. You can see with the nectar flow. That's why they NASA scales, $2,000 scales. They measure every 15 seconds nectar flow change in ounces. They pick up humidity in a hive. They pick up I'm working with these high-tech NASA scales. They're great, but I'm not going to pay $2,000 something for a scale. I use a scale, a regular meat scale, the old-fashioned scale. I got 5 hives on scales. So this hive is building. There's no more brood. We'll go down to the bottom chamber to see what's in the bottom chamber, because it's different from what's in the top. Bees organize themselves. They put the pollen. Notice there was no pollen at all up here.
Where do you do your alcohol wash on it?
I'm going to do one on one. I'll show you. I'm looking for a hive that's probably going to be a little stronger. Has a few more bees here.
Would you do it with
She's still got a frame out over there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just going to move this. What's the question?
when you do your alcohol wash, you get your bees from the bottom box or the top box?
With this brood, wherever you got a brood cap brood frame.
Oh.
Just make sure you don't take your queen. You don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want to go there again.
We hold our queen in high reverence.
Huh? Yeah. Well, you lose the queen, you're in trouble.
They tax the holes at work. Helping you right out.
So anyway, here you see it again, a little bit of honey, but there's nothing new coming in. So there's somewhat of a drift. And of course, the other thing, Dave's got a lot of hives. You got to always worry about hive saturation in an area. Get too many hives. In our area, more than 6 hives in one area, it just, you don't get any more from 12 than you do from 6.
Does he? So would it help if he moved some of the hives elsewhere?
To other areas,
Yeah.
2 miles away. I look for, if you're scouting an area, here's how to do it. Look if there's something in every season. Once you know your nectar plants, look around, scout an area out, and I do it all the time. What's there in the spring, what's there midsummer, what's there in the fall. So you look in the spring, you know, there's fruit trees, you got all your, early on, maple, skunk cabbage, and then later on you got your fruit trees, your berries, then later on you got your lindens and your black locust, and then you got, you know, right through the season. You want an area that's got throughout, what good is it if you got 30 acres of dandelions and nothing the rest of the year? A little bit of brood. This is good honey. So this, see, it's a good, that's why you got to evaluate the whole hive, because sometimes you get in, there's a little brood patch there, and she's laying over here on this side with new larvae, so she could be down here, but they move around. You notice there's larvae up there and there's larvae down here, so you notice the queen moves up and down. People say reverse supers, never. They set up the hive the way they want it, you reverse them, you mess up their whole setup.
In the spring, you don't
In the
recommend?
spring, even set up, because the pollen's all down there. You put it at the top. They want their brood up near the top where it's warm in the early spring. Your pollen and your honey, you know, your pollen's down below. They got honey. They're coming up. They got honey up here. So you start messing around with their food stores and how they're packed, you're going to mess up the hive. If it's totally empty at the bottom, nothing there, yeah, go ahead.
Gotcha.